I was gonna start this video with a funny little YMCA joke like last video, but instead of a Y it's a D, like DMCA. Mr. Joke, that's what they call me. But then I remembered that the gross abuse of a copyright claim system, being able to destroy someone's career, isn't exclusive to Twitch, and I am still very much in danger. Even if you haven't been paying attention, like, to exactly what's happening, like the specifics, I doubt it's going to be a massive leap of faith to believe me when I say, yeah, the companies that own a website whose existence is solely dependent on creators using it, yeah, they didn't even try and protect their creators. Yeah, that thing that keeps happening on every single platform, yeah, it kept happening. What a surprise. Basically, it seems like several months worth of DMCA claims have just happened in like a 2-week period. They've just been piling up or something, and then they all just came out at once, striking pretty much every community completely at random. Even to this day, more strikes continue to pop up out of nowhere and threaten the livelihoods of even prominent creators, like a groundhog with a switchblade. Speaking of something I was talking about, witty transition, today's sponsor, ExpressVPN. In today's world, everything related to the internet is horrible, but a VPN makes it significantly less so by encrypting your data so only the endpoint of the connection can understand the data being sent. Even service providers and government agencies can't sneak a peek at whatever you're doing, you depraved man. Australian providers are legally required to keep your private information for 2 years, which is still better than American providers who just sell your information, which I don't even feel obligated to prove at this point. You can even change locations, making it easier to access services from other countries, because as much as I love Australia's Netflix, or as it's known here, Adam Sandler's Variety Hour, I personally enjoy the ability to access America and the UK's Netflix,
where I can watch actual films, like Ocean's 11, or 12, or 13. You know, good movies that I am actually going to watch.
And since it changes your IP address every time you use it, you're essentially a completely different person to a website because they have no real way of telling. So sure, for Daniel, a part-time puffin trainer from Ohio, his data limit's up. But thanks to ExpressVPN, his dear friend Danielle is just getting started. If any of these extremely useful benefits have enticed you, you can use the link expressvpn.com/kaiju for 3 months free, which can be found in the description below, which I personally recommend as it's the VPN I use. I also occasionally use Twitch. This is me transitioning back to the video. DMCA, which stands for like Digital Millennium Copyright Act or whatever, also known as copyright strikes, have been a massive problem on Twitch for all of it, but never really so strange or problematic to warrant me talking about it in such detail, because YouTube pretty much has the exact same thing, just slightly different. But now, everything's horrible, all thanks to this week's villain, massive greedy corporations. On the one hand, it has dealt a massive blow to mine and many people's perception of Twitch, but on the other hand, I'm a pessimist and I like being proven right, so this whole situation is extremely conflicting for me. Before you start to wonder, no, this isn't going to include personal accounts of the problem, because I haven't been affected. I also haven't checked, but I'm like pretty sure. Firstly, something many people do not understand is that the copyright claim systems on YouTube, and in this case Twitch, were not designed or implemented to defend an individual's copyright or initiate mediation necessarily, but instead as a defense against America's favorite pastime, getting sued. The system is heavily weighted in favor of large corporations that use it on purpose, because if it didn't exist, they would sue Twitch, much in the same way Viacom filed a lawsuit against YouTube in 2013. It requires actual work to make a balanced system, and if it's weighted towards creators, which it should be, Twitch also still risks getting sued. God, I love record labels, they're nothing but perfect. Hopefully, that makes the current system Twitch uses slightly more understandable. But, and this is important, no less incredibly dumb, so I'm going to complain about it, and yes, I know I have a strong bias towards creators having creative freedom and legal freedom because it is my job and by extension most of my life, but at the same time, I'm right about everything. I'm going to assume you understand the general attributes of copyright strikes on YouTube, like they take your money, they block you on a certain platform, they block you in certain countries, or like you can get a strike against your channel. And despite not being entirely thought through and an extremely abusable system, it is at least in some way a system, which isn't a strong opening for Twitch. They, on the other hand, seem to have a kind of yes or no situation going on right now, or as I would put it, everything is fine, or Why am I in a gulag? Streamers getting claimed aren't getting their income taken away or their VODs being hidden. The strikes also don't mute the videos, that's Twitch itself trying to prevent this. No, the channels themselves are getting striked, which is not many steps away from just getting the channel deleted. And some of them just seem to be getting suspended because that's what people need in a time of crisis, being sent to the Shadow Realm with no reasoning. Wow, crazy. While YouTube's system is completely unfair on multiple aspects, it is also still at least an escalation of severity. Losing money is annoying, losing views is damaging, but getting striked will ruin you. Streams are much less controlled than videos as well, so claims are able to be made on parts of the VOD where music appears incidentally as you pass a street corner, meaning strikes are easier to make and have significantly harsher penalties than what they should. This is why when you go to a streamer's site and search for the top clips of all time, you suspiciously get the same results as if you were searching from the top of this month or a week ago, which would be a stunning coincidence, but I personally think it's because they're deleting their clips. Maybe I'm wrong. People are getting massive hits to their channel because of random music snippets from muted clips from 3 years ago, because apparently that makes enough sense to be legally correct. So many, if not most, if not everyone, has decided to delete years of legacy clips that are important to their channel and sometimes the wider Twitch community as a whole, which is a tough call to make, especially since Twitch doesn't have a private video function like YouTube, or even a tool to mass delete VODs like YouTube. You can only mass delete clips, which was a great decision and not a massive flaw streamers saw coming years ago. The label behind this wave of strikes and many others is RIAA, aka the Recording Industry Association of America, but better known as a swarm of locusts. I, like many people who haven't interacted with them ever, still have a very strong negative perception of them for reasons that are so strange they sound almost comedic, such as when RIAA sued the torrenting application LimeWire at the advent of music piracy for what people seem to believe as $72 trillion, which isn't true, but only technically, and I wish people knew that because the real story is even dumber. I'm now going to tell you that dumb story. RIAA didn't actually ask for $72 trillion, but that was the result of a third party's calculation of the numbers they were using to claim damages. Essentially, RIAA was claiming that it wasn't each individual song being downloaded that had worth, which is weird because that's wrong, but instead it was each individual download itself that was worth a certain amount of damages. The amount being up to $150,000 per download, which is insane, as many economists have pointed out, is not how the economy works, because each download of a song isn't a lost purchase. More people will get something if it's free. So that's where the $72 trillion comes from, because if you use their horribly archaic pricing model, you can get to pretty exorbitant numbers without even trying, because they kind of just inflated the worth of downloads and counted them as purchases. Which isn't how that works. And while that is the weirdest thing RIAA has done, it's not even close to the worst, because in 1999, a man named Mitch Glazier, congressional staff attorney and Caucasian man, without any notice, essentially just inserted 4 words into an upcoming bill on its final drafts that classified many forms of broadcasted sounds as work for hire, which in layman's terms circumvented artists signing over the copyright to their works and just took it. Which you may notice is a gross destruction of an individual's rights. I'm not even done. The bill that was changed to add these words that would essentially destroy the individual right of musicians was named, and I'm not lying, I need you to believe this, Satellite Home Viewer Improvement Act of 1999, which was basically a bill designed to do exactly what you think. To get satellite carriers to do stuff, but sure, yeah, let's just ruin the music industry while you're at it. It was such an underhanded change, it was actually put into law. No one noticed it. And it practically just got discovered by accident. And if you're wondering where Mitch Glazier is in all of this after potentially ruining musicians' rights, don't worry, he got a new job, specifically at RIAA, who specifically fought to defend the underhanded change, specifically in March of 2000, where he has remained to this day, and since 2019 has been the CEO. I'm so proud of him. This type of stuff is pretty common and makes copyright almost nothing but problematic and a hindrance to new creations, which goes directly against why it was initially created, surprisingly enough. Basically, copyright owners have an extreme amount of power enforcing copyright protection and maintaining it, which is great for people. But people don't own anything anymore, as you may have guessed, by Disney just existing. Giant companies own the rights to things now. They own franchises, they own movies, they own the likenesses to certain characters. If it's music, it's a giant record label owning conglomerate such as RIAA, what a surprise, whose board of directors is 20% made up from people from UMG. Which I'm not, that's so obvious. Like, they just really like money and can file thousands of DMCA strikes at the same time with automated systems and fight 100 counterclaims in 100 different courtrooms. Apparently, they've also filed around 20,000 lawsuits, not strikes, lawsuits. Which is a lot. Copyright law was created, at least in America, to encourage people to create new things, because if you created something, someone blatantly stole it word for word and made more money, you would rightfully feel pretty annoyed, and it makes sense in that way to have inherent protection of your works. But the protection isn't really designed for the current age and used to be quite limited to a frankly unbelievable extent. When copyright law was first penned, it was only for 28 years of protection, after which it was in the public domain and anyone could use it, which is insane to me because I have obviously grown up with companies just exclusively having stuff, which wouldn't be able to happen because do you know what would be in the public domain by now? Everything would be. Star Wars, Terminator, Kindergarten Cop, I don't know. Maybe 28 years is too short. It isn't. But I can say with some certainty that it really shouldn't be the lifetime of the creator, which doesn't promote new creations because you can just make one, and if it's a good one, you never need to work again. And then, once the copyright has lapsed, you're dead. At which point you can't do anything else and you don't need money because you're dead. You die. Dead people don't need money. That's the fact of the day. Also, it's not actually the lifetime of the creator. It's that plus 70 years or 120/95 if it's a work for hire depending on publication date. That literally only benefits massive companies because why would you need money 70 years after you're dead? Only companies benefit from that. Companies like, I don't know, oh, RIAA! That company that's ruining Twitch? Yeah, crazy. So yeah, the law regarding this is extremely archaic and clearly not designed for the current landscape of the internet. But there is one more thing to point out, which is even factoring in the issues of many copyright laws, which is that, some of this is still very much Twitch's fault. For one, the current process for receiving a DMCA strike seems to be made explicitly to not be useful. Wow, I love it. Could I have some more? Frankly, it should be illegal to tell someone there's a problem with your channel and it could ruin your career. But we're not going to tell you. There's also the small issue that if you do everything right, you're still kinda screwed. Devin Nash, he's a streamer, deleted every single clip on his channel, which was confirmed. There's no clips there, I'm using my eyes, I'm looking at it, no clips. Now, he still got served the DMCA strike because the bots that do it have direct access to Twitch's servers, and even though you deleted the clips, they can still exist for a time on the servers where they can still be striked. And the most amazing part of this fairy tale is, apparently, no one at Twitch fucking thought of that. And if that's not bad enough, they practically took forever to respond to the situation, and some of the things they said were, wrong. And finally, there's the horrid defilement of the community's trust by throwing parties for popular streamers, which apparently some people are actually angry about, and I am a horrible petty person, and I don't get it. I don't get what people are mad about. Rewarding the streamers who literally allow the platform to exist in its current state and whose communities somewhat accurately represent Twitch as a whole is a good thing and should be more common, if anything.
Okay, I've seen a more prevalent and specific point about this, so I'm re-recording this part in order to be more concise, so excuse the lack of detail, but I'm trying to fit more information in less time. This is the idea I've seen circulated, but less wordy because even while being brief I'm one step away from speaking in rhyme. It sounds correct at first, but no one saying this has given a reasonable estimate as to the quantity or cost of site-wide licenses, because the price can balloon easily given certain common factors that usage on Twitch easily falls into. But in reality, the cost of any given license is the exact amount Twitch won't pay minus 1. Less expensive and encompassing licenses can still easily average tens of thousands of dollars per song depending on popularity, so a library full of them isn't plausible. Picking a specific genre alienates most people, being broad covers everyone but only barely, and the best compromise of getting cheap licenses en masse or commissioning songs appeals to no one, because there is a reason people listen to Ariana Grande, not YouTube's free audio library, and won't be the songs played in storefronts that gets people striked, essentially spending more than zero money to solve zero problems. Negotiating a deal makes little sense, as it's essentially paying protection money so they don't abuse an inherently flawed system, if not only temporarily until they find another justification to do it, like sound effects, or if it's UMG, ignore the justification entirely and start claiming songs they don't own. Also note, Twitch can't just use Amazon money to solve this because that's not remotely how this works. That's Amazon's decision. I doubt a single person at Twitch even has power in that area, especially since I'm not even sure Twitch is making a profit yet. Given the exorbitant costs of licensing and this video of one of the GlitchCon things, you probably understand why this idea falls apart. The gifts are commendable more for thought and the fact that Twitch recognized certain streamers than their actual cost. Because even being generous, the most expensive single item I could see was maybe a projector or a bathtub, and I struggled to total an amount worth more than 2 songs and half of Sicko Mode. So yes, while this idea does seem to solve practically everything, it's a lot more complicated than that in reality, and the best course of action in an idealistic world would be for Amazon to actually lobby against the current copyright law, which is never going to happen. But apart from that, it's kind of out of Twitch's hands.
Also, as a side note, these people got a party gift thing from Twitch. They also live together, and the reason I'm mentioning this, as stated before, is not because I disagree with it or that I even care, but Valkyrie, I have never heard someone say the full word, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, basically got free stuff because she lives with popular Twitch streamers, which isn't to say she isn't popular, but she's exclusively signed to YouTube, a competitor. Which raises the question, okay, this is the point of this. Is there such thing as an accidental hustle, and how do I replicate this? Because incidentally getting free stuff is my dream. Okay, here it is. No idea. Content house. You get the biggest personality, 2 of the biggest personalities on Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, and like LinkedIn or something, I don't fucking know. And you put them all in the house. They don't even need to be friends. But when the platforms give them free stuff, everyone benefits. It's genius. It's gonna be called the the Hustle House. And that is all the time I have for today. By which I mean my videos keep ballooning in length and I just need to stop saying things. So be sure to like this video or subscribe. Only one. You can't do both. And if you lie, I will know. Shout out to ExpressVPN once again for sponsoring this video. I personally use their product, have done for over a year now, and it's such a powerful tool and whose use becomes more apparent once you have it. So check out the link below for 3 months off, and as always, thanks to the fellas for supporting me, and thank you for watching. Alright, goodbye.